guys, today we're going to be working on making your pinch pot frogs. So the first thing you're going to do with your hunk of clay is you're going to take off a little corner of it, about that big, kind of quarter size, and set that off to the side. We're going to be using that in a little bit for something else. Then you're going to take your hunk of clay and you're going to kind of smush it into a sphere, which is shaped like a ball. It's a sphere when it's called a form, or it's 3D. The form is called a sphere. And this one's still kind of rough. So what I want to do is roll it between my two hands. And when we roll things to try and get them round, we hold them between our two hands. We don't push really hard because then it keeps making them sort of square. We hold it lightly, and we do it sort of like a train. It goes chugga chugga, like this on the wheel. And if I turn my hand this way, you can see it's moving it in a circle. We do the same thing with our other hand at the opposite side. So it's sort of chugga chugga like this. See how I'm doing circles with both hands? And as I do that, the clay tumbles around and takes on a circle shape. The other way to do it is to put it on your table and roll it in a circle shape. The problem is if we do this long enough, it starts flattening out a little bit like that. It gets pointy. So that's why really it works better in your hands because they're naturally round and you can kind of cup your hands a little bit to keep it that round shape. Now to make our pinch pot, we're going to take our thumb, and your nail has to go in. I know this is the crazy part because it gets a little dirty under your nail. That's okay, we'll wash it off. Poke it straight in, but not all the way through. If we poke it all the way through, it's not going to work. Then I'm going to use these fingers and my thumb to squeeze gently. And as I squeeze gently, you can see it starts making it look like a little bowl or a little pot. So we're going to keep squeezing gently. And we want to keep it sort of rounded, so if it starts looking too flat somewhere, then I can put my other fingers inside when it gets big enough and use my thumb to flatten and squeeze gently. And teachers, you can walk around, make sure these edges aren't crumbling too much as they're pinching. And we want to make sure that the top isn't super thick. So at some point in time I can put both my thumbs in, they'll both fit in there, and I can squeeze gently with my thumb and my fingers to thin it out. And now I have a little pot shape, like that. But we're not just going to leave ours as a pot shape. We're going to turn them into frogs. So then we're going to take our pencil for our frog mouth, and gently on the side, right about here, we're going to push like that. And it's going to give us a little line. I'm going to push back out at the bottom and push down on the top. So look at that. There's our little frog mouth that we have on there. Now what else is our little frog missing? He needs some eyes. I think he needs some eyes, don't you? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set him sideways. See, that's his open part, so you can see what he looks like. And I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to tear it in half, so it's about equal sizes. I'll put that one to the side, and I'm going to tear this one in half again. And guess what we do for eyes? We make round balls. Yep, those little spears. So roll those eyeballs. Take a little round eye like that. Then we're going to take a knife, our little plastic knives. I'm just going to use my little paper cutter here. You guys will have plastic knives, and we're going to cut them in half just like that. So now we have two half eyeballs. They're going to fit on our frog, kind of like that. But they're not just going to stick to it. If we just stick clay to clay and it dries, these are going to pop off. So what we have to do is score it. You're going to use a toothpick, and on there you're going to draw some lines. You're going to draw some lines vertically. Don't push too hard. We don't want to ruin the other side of the eyeball. And then you're going to do it horizontally. So it's like a little checkerboard or tic-tac-toe on there. Let's go ahead and do that with the other side. So those are on there. And then I'm going to kind of look and say, I know my frog's eyes are going to go here, and they're going to go here. Put little divots in there. See? I know they're going to go there and there. So I'm going to do the same thing on those. I'm going to do the tic-tac-toe board on that side. And then on that side. And then what I have to do is add some slip. That's a little bit of water. You guys should have water cups on your desks. All you're going to do with your water cup is have a little water in it. Put your fingers in it, just like this. Get them a little wet. And you put a little bit of water on there. See how I just gently push it, not too hard. And then, on that same crisscross pattern on here, I'm going to put my finger inside to hold it so I don't poke it through. I'm going to put the eyeball on there. And press gently. A couple little bubbles are coming out. I'm going to smooth it out because it's a little wet and slimy. just like our frogs. That's okay. And then same thing for his other eyeball. I'm going to dip my one finger in, get it a little wet on there, put my finger inside so it doesn't push through his head, and gently, firmly push it on there. We're going to smooth that down. There you go. So now I have a frog with a mouth and some eyeballs. I would also like my frog to have some legs. So we're going to look at that next. So for the legs, we're going to take our other piece and divide it in half. And this time we're going to roll worms. So we're just going to go back and forth like this. And see how we get wormy? They kind of get wormy. The other way you could do it, if it's more comfortable for you, is on your table mat. You can worm it just a little bit first, so it kind of looks like that. And then just with one hand, roll it out on your desk. Now when I'm rolling, if you can see through my fingers, it's going all the way down on my palm and then up through my fingers. I want to keep my fingers closed so it doesn't get bumpy. If I open them up like this, if you pick it up, you can see how it looks bumpy. If I keep them closed and I just use the flat part of my hand like this, keep bopping my frog, don't I? Then it gets nice and smooth. And see how sometimes I have to pick up my hand and keep moving it down because it's going to grow. Your worm's going to grow longer and longer as you do this. Now I'm going to do my frog leg with a coil or a spiral. You guys learned about spiral lines already, right? I'm going to go like this. But then frogs have flat feet, don't they? So the last little bit I pinch up sideways like this. So now we're going to put our coil on the side of our frog for his legs. But what do we have to do first? That's right, we have to score it first. We have to do those little scratch marks just where we're going to put his leg. Like that. And then the same thing on the back of his leg. Very gently. We don't want to pull our coil apart, right? We're going to scratch it. And then what comes next? The water. Yep, so one finger of water. Rub gently so it's a little slimy looking. And then we're going to put it on the side of our frog right there. Put his foot, make sure his foot's down here on the bottom. I'm going to gently press so it sticks to my frog. So there's his first little frog foot. Now we have to do this side. I'm going to get my other worm that I started and keep rolling it out a little bit more. There we go. And this one looks like maybe it's going to be a little bigger than the other one. So I'm going to cut off the extra part. There we go. That way it's not like one giant frog leg and one little frog leg. And again, we're going to spiral, so I'm just going to leave it flat on the table and roll it. And then when I get to that little part of his foot, just remember to tuck it under. Right? So we get that little tuck under foot. Same thing on this side, near his eye, a little bit behind it. I'm going to do my score marks. This way, and then of course on the back of this one, this way. Take my finger, smooth that out with the water, and then I'm going to attach it. Remember, I have to put my hands inside so it doesn't put a hole in my frog. And now he has feet on both sides. If some of my scratch marks show with my wet finger, I can very carefully smooth that out if I want to. The other thing maybe my frog is missing that I might like are some little pupils on there. So for that, I can just take a pencil, and with the eraser side, I would go boop, and there's one eyeball. And on this side, I could go boop, and turn it a little, and there's another eyeball. And if I want my frog smiling, I might take the end of the pencil and do a little smiley on each side, just like that. And then for his bottom, they have little pointy bottoms, so I pinch his bottom just a little bit like that. And there we have our funny little frogs.